Hey, go.
Asteroid of fear.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Men of the House podcast. Um, the volume should be good. If it's a little low, it could be because I'm taking advantage to record this solo Saturday Caregiving Chronicles episode um, while my client is sleeping. So you can go back to the other one, the first Caregiving Chronicles, and learn why I'm here and what I'm doing. But if you hear any noise in the background, disregard. Maybe I'll pause if he needs something, wakes up. But he said he was ready for a nap. So I'm going to try to seize the opportunity and give you guys some quality content. All right, let's start it off. This will be episode 2 of the Caregiving Chronicles. And we're going to detail the first week of what went on, some of the challenges, some of the emotions, some of what's going on. But I've had quite the busy morning. Um, yeah, so I could get here. My wife was watching the client, and I went to the chiropractor, spent some time with my father, took him for labs and whatnot at the VA. But besides the point, we'll learn how we got there. But too many butts. Yeah, so many butts, maybe we need to shake them. Anywho. All right. So, yeah, I picked him up Saturday, and he was very excited to get out. They didn't give a lot of discharge instructions, which was disappointing because he came home with a catheter. How often it needed to be changed, whatnot. It was a holiday weekend. My wife had gone out of town with my mother, my daughter's friend, and they went to SeaWorld and whatnot. So it was just me solo. And they didn't do give a lot with discharge, but he was so excited to get out of there. He, with my assistance, was able to get in the vehicle, but he had refused a wheelchair initially when we were at the rehab facility. That wasn't what he wanted. He thought he could get back to being independent because he was a 97-year-old independent, only requiring about 9 hours a week of, might hear him coughing, of service, help with whether it's grocery shopping to the bank, whatnot. Wait, yeah, I'm sure the mic's picking that up. But that's what's keeping it real. Anywho, we got him home and he kind of overdid it. And I think I let him overdo it. Not intentionally, but in my effort to serve, try to please, try to make happy. And of course, we didn't really get a lot of discharge instruction. And, we had to wait for the home health nurse to come, occupational therapy, physical therapy, because they're going to set a plan of care for us to follow. And with it being a holiday weekend, I was going to have to ride out Saturday and Sunday, at least till Monday, because this nurse, regardless of being a holiday, she decided that she was going to come Monday. But the, yeah, he overdid it a little bit. I overdid it. It was definitely a tiring day. And day 2, I remember my dad having had a gait belt. And this is because the end of night 1, he wanted to brush his teeth and go in the bathroom and ended up having to sit him on the floor because I was behind him and he was weak. He couldn't stand on his own, and I had to sit him on the floor. Consequently, I had to pick him up off of the floor from a seated position. Give you an idea, I'm about 161 pounds. He is 139. Um, yeah, but like a dead weight and awkward. He's taller than me. Um, it's not easy picking up a person. But on that note, that's why exactly, if you're a man or woman, you should be going to the gym and being healthy. Somebody else's life could depend on it. You want to remain strong. What if there were a house fire or something? You need to be able to pick up your weight, maybe more weight, depending on who you love, who you're with. Um, yeah. But yeah, that was kind of night one. And day two, I remember seeing my dad have a gait belt from his rehab. So I had him bring it over, which helped tremendously. We still kind of overdid the transfers. And then day three, you know, the nurse came and kind of set some boundaries, and there was some exhaustion and stuff set in by then. So, day three was hard, but I could tell my back was starting to get wonky a little bit, some soft tissue stuff around the lower back, hence the chiropractor. And, you know, he gets sore too from wearing the gait belt. And OT came, I think, day four or PT. And, that was a whole thing. Um, and I think it was probably day four that maybe my wife came or so, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, when PT kind of set the parameters of like, hey, he needs to be in the bed or the chair because he could not ambulate from a futon to a wheelchair that was actually seated lower. And we had a VA doctor's appointment the next day, and we knew we wouldn't be able to get him into a vehicle from a wheelchair. And so the idea was let's keep transfers to a minimum and, you know, call Medicab. He can ride in the wheelchair. I can accompany him. So that's what I did. Well, apparently, whoever was answering the phone there gave me some bunk information and said, well, just call back like 30 or 45 minutes before the appointment. We'll get you there. Um, and so that's what I did. Well, by this time, we'll circle back. My wife had come one day and, she's, I think Tuesday it was. She's a little more nurturing, um, and I'm a little more stern. And I'd already heard the PT plan of care and all that. And so there was like some things she initially started off like, you know, I'm going to make him reach for his cup because he needs the dexterity if we're moving towards independence again. Um, where she would like maybe hand it to him. And I got a little, I don't know if it's somewhere between standoffish and jealous, like he definitely reacts different to her than he does me. But there's also this factor of like, don't undo everything I've done because I've done like the hardest part the past 3 days, solo. And then I caught myself. I'm like, hey, like, stop. Like, this is not, we're all on the same team, same goal. And I was able to actually get my first, I think, walk in that day. I hadn't been getting much personal time exercise that I normally get. Maybe one day I found 30 minutes when he went to bed early. I told him I was going to go to the garage for 30 minutes and gave him the walkie-talkie and um yeah, on the treadmill. But when I went for the walk, I was like, look, you get over that. We're all on the same team. We all have the same goal, which is to get him better and independent. And it takes us all. It takes me being stern. It takes my strength to lift him. It takes my wife's nurturing capability. I mean, that's why children, you know, have a mom and a dad. Or if they have two dads or two moms, then one of them's probably a masculine energy and one of them's probably a feminine energy. Um, but you need both, So I was happy I caught myself and said, you know, that's that male ego shit you got to get rid of and quickly. Um, I'm getting better and was able to do it much quicker than normal. So I was happy about that. But, my back was starting to get wonky. And here comes Wednesday. My wife helps me transfer. We're going to go to the appointment. I called Medicab and they're like, oh no, it's got to be booked 24 hours in advance. And, um, well, we can try to send it, but it's going to cost you 45 extra bucks because it's like stat. And I'm like, I basically told the girl, I go, these were my exact words. I'm like, that's really fucking uncool of you guys. For somebody to give me bad information. Like, I'm like, it's just uncool. Puts us in a terrible situation. He's 97. He can barely transfer from the bed to the wheelchair. And you guys just fucked us, basically. So my wife and I, I'm a type A personality. Um, I don't figure out ways why we can't. I want to know how we're going to. So problem solving mode, we're just going to do it. And so my wife and I get him into the car, which was difficult. I get him to the VA. And of course, it's between 12 and 1, and nobody in the government fucking works between 12 and 1, period. Um, Everybody's on hiatus. And I go in, I'm trying to get lifting help. And of course, because he's got a 1 o'clock appointment, the first one after lunch, nobody's around. And, there was somebody at the front desk, and she's like, I'll send a message to the nurses, the little Skype things. I'm aware because we used to do the same thing in the clinics I managed. But she's like, you can ask the police. And I was like, well, I'd rather have somebody with medical training, but if necessary, I will. Gets about 20 to 1. There's no nurses. She's like, no, nobody's picking up, of course. So I knock on the police door and, one immediately says yes. The other one starts asking a bunch of questions. I'm like, I just need to move from whatever to the chair. We get out there and we start getting this done. But, as I'm trying to get him in for the appointment, there's two guys, two cops, both bigger than me, both physically capable, but it's the biggest one who was pissing and moaning the most and um, giving me like this lecture on I should have done this and, for the future, I should consider, getting a lift and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, look, hey, I don't need a lecture. Like, I used to run 2 clinics. I know what right looks like. We're doing all this for my dad. He's got a motorized wheelchair he doesn't use, but they anticipate he's going to need it. And so the VA we've gone there twice, 3 times maybe, for his wheelchair. And then the next thing is to outfit our minivan. And that's why we're keeping it. My wife uses it as a work van, but we were going to keep it because for these instances, we take care of people in wheelchairs with mobile issues. And it's not going to be the last time we're going to need it, but the VA's canceled twice. And I'm like telling this guy, like, I don't need a fucking lecture. Um, what I needed was help. Either you're going to help or you're not. Either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Period. I know what was supposed to happen, but you as a cop should know, like, there's no routine traffic stop. It may not go the way you want it, but either you can piss and moan about it or you can solve the problem like I do. I am a problem solver. And I was highly disappointed. Like, for people who take an oath to protect and serve, um, pissing and moaning isn't in there. Either you want to help or you don't. Either that's the job you signed up for or you didn't. It's like managing doctors who used to try to cherry pick patients. I only want these patients or I want to review them first. Well, either you're here to help sick people or you're not. Either you want to see patients or you don't. Period. This person's sick. I don't know what the hell you thought this was going to happen. What you thought being a doctor would be, but this is what it is. It's not about picking and choosing. When you offer to help people or you're in a service thing, you don't always get to pick who you serve. That's why it's called service. That's why it's supposed to be selfless. But yeah, so we get there, we do the whole visit. Now, I'll circle back to that. We thought we were going to see a physician and he would be evaluated and could determine he needs 24/7 care and all these other things. But it was a nurse visit full of questions just to order like a bed, a trapeze bar to help him get up, some of his male depends, different things like that, catheters, because he's going to have that changed until we see urology. Um, and I'm like, are we going to see a physician? No, this is just a nurse visit. And I'm like, so we've gone through all this bullshit for like a 30 or 40-minute nurse visit and put them at risk for getting sick with other sick people as it's a clinic. Um, oh, I was fucking pissed. So I get him out there, and it comes time to get him back in, and nobody's around. And, I asked her on the way out, hey, are there any male nurses or techs that can help me get him in? Well, technically, we don't have any males for one, and then two, we're not allowed technically to go out in the parking lot and help people. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is your job then? As you see fit. They probably think it's a liability thing, but what if somebody falls in the parking lot? I mean, let's get real. It's just like a bullshit scapegoat, like push it off to somebody else, which I fucking hate. If you're able to do something about it, then do it. Um, and the cool cop, which I'm gonna shout him out in a minute. I wheeled him out there, and he wasn't around, and I went back in. He was standing there. I was like, "Hey, can you help me?" And he's like, "Sure." Jumped right into action like he did the first time. And he just, man, he was a big dude. But he just picked him up like a Clark Gable from here to eternity type style and put him in the seat. And yeah, I was like, man, what's your name? I'm gonna shout you out on my podcast. So shout out to Moses, who works at the VA as a police officer in Tyler, Texas. Yeah, I would take that dude on my team anytime. Um, you can have an interaction with somebody pretty quickly, or I can, and you can know what they're about and know if you would do business with them, have them work with you, for you, however it works. Um, he's somebody I would have on my team. So give that man a raise, VA. But as for the VA, well, I don't want to dive into any politics. Um, whoever's in fucking charge of it, whether what president, senators, whatever those other fucking people are that sit around and determine shit, Congress, um, you guys need to unfuck the VA system. This is the service we receive for a retired '05 Navy commander, war veteran who cannot transfer, walk, anything, who used to be independent a couple months ago till rehab didn't rehab him and he declined. But it's somebody's grandfather, it's somebody's dad. Um, yeah, '05 commander, war veteran, kind of dog shit of the VA. And the people who run it and decide all these things shouldn't be so fucking hard to get shit done for people who've risked it all. So, if you're out there or if you're a listener and you know somebody who's in charge of this, get them on it. But yeah, so we do all that. We get back, and my wife, luckily, she's working close by and she's able to come and help me. And we put him in a different chair, and she was under the impression he's going to stay there. Um, and then she leaves, and of course, he decides he wants to nap and go to his bed. And I got to make two more transfers solo. And that's when I had to kind of tell my wife, look, I don't want to argue in front of him about this, but we need to stick to the plan. We need as few transfers as possible. Um, we got to play checkers, not chess. He's 97. If I feel it, he feels it. He's twice my age. I'm 48. And man, so yesterday was he was laid out. I was laid, waiting on him, but my back hurt all day. That's why I went to the chiropractor this morning. Um, Yeah, he kind of laid flat, seated, didn't transfer once. He was tired because he didn't sleep well the night before because all those transfers, unnecessary, wore him out. I mean, we probably made 8 to 10 for the day, which is about six more than he needed. And part of it because people not taking their job serious, not paying attention, not paying attention enough that I said Medicab or not knowing their role and that it needs to be 24 hours in advance, whatever the case may be. Um, yeah, all those touch points, terrible. The only people who've been a saving grace are home health nurse, and PT and OT who've come out and been very nice. And I know them because they deal with my dad, and that's how we're all connected within this circle. That's how my wife ended up with this 97-year-old gentleman. And I'm doing 24/7, but the VA approves 16 hours is all he needs. Well, I can't just leave him here for 16 hours or be here only 16 hours. He needs 24/7 care. His family is dispersed elsewhere, and that's their business. And as to why they're not here, I'm not going to throw shade on that. Everybody has their own family dynamic and it's theirs. And I have ours is way different than most people. Some people would call it weird, probably think we're too close, too tight, but we're Latino and that's kind of how we do. So it, you know, last night I'm laying in bed because we're all here. It's a three-bedroom house and condo, and I'm laying flat because my back hurts, and um, my daughter's laying in my arms, and I'm laying next to her, and it's kind of the highlight of my night. And we fall asleep together, and I think of him there by himself in the bed, and he's got kids, but they're not around. And one of them actually had gone on hospice, I think, the second day we were here, and was given 72 hours, and it did happen. He did pass. I was aware because the son who called to tell me about that, or tell him, actually told me. I talked to him, told him what was going on, and he said, just so I knew. And so that's all happened in the process. But, while I'm laying next to my daughter and thinking about he doesn't have that option you know, but of course he's 97, and I don't know that his 75-year-old daughter would be sleeping in his arms or vice versa. But regardless, it just made me thankful and grateful for my family. But it also made me grateful in that I get to do this for him. I get to be that person for him, my wife and I. Um, so he's not in a nursing home, in a rehab facility with strangers or nobody or just the nurses. He's at home with his surroundings, some dignity, trying to be a man, even though he's hard headed like me, pushing the boundaries. But sometimes that's the only way we learn. We're we're kind of dumb. We learn lessons the hard way, and I think maybe it took some overworking and getting sore and being laid up for a day to understand our limitations. I always say that's kind of the one benefit of if you ever get an ass whooping. I think a good ass whooping's good once in your lifetime. Not a overdoing, but just to show you like some accountability of whether it's your mouth, your abilities, your the confidence you think you have. Yeah, good ass whooping's good every now and again. Sometimes that's how we learn. And yeah, man, yeah, I get to do that. Why God or the universe chose me, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take all I can from the experience and try to keep you guys updated weekly with some caregiving chronicles. And I paused my pod match, so I won't be doing interviews for the time being. And I apologize to anybody out there. I hope you listen to this. I had to cancel on, but this is the direction for now, and that's okay. Um, it's a season, I mean, a couple things are going to happen. You know, I'm going to work with him, PT, OT, and he's going to get better and get back to independence and progress. Or he could decline and need a higher level of care that we're unable to provide. But that's not really in my mind, but those are the two options. It won't be like this forever. As we start getting those appointments and OT and everything next week. So get a plan of care and we'll do it to it just like this. And maybe it'll open up time for interviews or whatever. But Right now, it's been balls to the wall 24/7, um, like caring for a child who can't care for themselves, but they're 139 pounds, they're twice your age, and have forgotten more than you've ever seen or will know in terms of education, and just life. I mean, born in 1927, he's seen all the wars, all the craziness, and one of my favorite times I've been able to record some conversations after breakfast. They've been kind of cool, and I hope to turn them into something. Quality might be iffy just because they were on voice memos, but that's the only way I could do it. But there's some near bedtime conversations just that are magic of learning what where I grew up was, it's a very Southern Baptist, Republican, right-leaning place, and to understand like it was once like, oh, there was a whole lot of Democrats. His whole household was Democrats, and that they had shifted kind of to Republican, like when Eisenhower was in office or something, president. And yeah, there's there's these small pockets of magic that just happen if you let them. And those are the special moments. And hopefully I get to tell y'all about some. Hopefully I get some of them recorded. Eventually, hopefully I get to interview them um, as time goes on. But until then, we're gonna, you know, try to keep the vibes positive, try to keep the energy positive, nourishment positive, and yeah, part of me like going to the chiropractor and going and seeing my dad today was kind of that opportunity for me to step away for a moment. And, thankfully my wife understands that and does that for me. And she didn't have to get up and take my daughter to school and go, go, go as she's been doing all week. So it was kind of good for both of us. But I'm thankful for her because, you know, Moses and her, those were the two people who showed up. That's why I married my wife. And that's why I love her because she shows up. Um, so shout out to my wife. I haven't said her name. I don't want to, but y'all can probably figure it out. But yeah, so we shall see what the weekend brings. Be interesting. I hope we all get some rest and recovery, relaxation. I can hopefully going back this evening for a second adjustment of the upper body because I had the lower body today. It's mostly tension, stress related tension, a lot in the shoulders, lower back, muscles tensing up. So, um, but I got to put my own oxygen mask on so I can be here for him. And kind of like I told my wife is, we got to make sure that we do it together. She's smaller than I am. I know she can't do it alone, so I can't do it alone. Neither one of us needs to get hurt, so we can be the best for him. And sometimes I have to remind him when he gets a little froggy, like, hey, look, if you have a fall, we're going to be repeating this process. You're going to go back to the ER and then the rehab, and you may not recover, may not be able to get you out. So, got to play the long game like a marathon. So, kind of remember that. But I've gotten so many lessons this week. I've experienced so many emotions from love at the purest form to frustration, to gratefulness. And, want to thank everybody in my life, my accountability group, some of the accountability groups I belong to, some offline conversations of people who've supported me or just listened to me vent. And, um, it does matter because, hey, I didn't leave here or see anyone for the first couple of days, 3 days, except briefly to grab a gate belt or something. So I appreciate it. Yeah, takes us all. We all have a little part to play, and don't discount your part and what it provides. Um, we all need a little help sometimes, a little love, a little support, a kind word, just a, hey man, sending you love. I got one of those and thankful for that. So shout out to Kevin. So um, on that note, I want to grab some food do anything else I can while this uploads because I still need to create some clips. So, yeah, I'm hoping next 2 Wednesdays I got some guests that were outstanding. I got those uploaded and clipped. You'll be getting those, and Saturdays will be Caregiving Chronicles. And after that, we'll see. Maybe you'll get Wednesday, Saturday Caregiving Chronicles. We'll just see. Got to be, flexible. Not Jean-Claude Van Damme flexible, but like a palm tree. Got to bend without breaking, okay? Um, so for all you going through tough times, remember, remember that. And thanks to everyone listening. I hope it finds you well. Like, subscribe, engage. Hit me up, engage with me on Facebook, whatever. I try to do as much as I can. But I wake up, I had several 4 o'clock mornings, and one night was a 3 a.m. because my back hurt. It was like 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep, and then maybe an hour little nap, like 5:30 to 6, no, 4:30 to 5:30 a.m. So yeah. Um, but check it out. I'll be around. I hope you enjoyed the update. I know it wasn't as formal, maybe as thought out, but and they will get better. And I will try quit saying the BUT filler word. And um, I hope, if anything else, you can appreciate the authenticity of it and trying to get this in the small window because I don't want to miss. I want to deliver. And this is therapeutic for me. This is what I love to do. Um, so I am. I'm a podcaster. Regardless if I'm interviewing people, doing solos, or what's going on in my life. And I hope you guys are able to connect with that. And maybe you can use some information of it down the road. Or maybe it changes something for veterans. I don't know. Maybe I get a special listener who can actually do something, who wants to do something. Put it that way. On that note, until next time, remember, go out and be the person that you would want to meet. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember, go out and be the person that you want to meet. Let's go. Asteroid of Fear.